the dean, why am I being hired? Why am I being hired? And finally she got fed up with me and just said, you know, I don't care what you do, just don't screw it up. And so I took that as a blank check. I said, good. I said, I know then what we can go ahead and do. So I put together a strategic plan, tried to get, you know, I got buy-in from the department, tried to get the buy-in from the administration, and to go ahead and to move forward. Because there's one thing that I saw that I'm sure that a lot of you will now, if you look back at your home departments, that can also see is opportunity. To me, that's the thing about Central, and the same thing about La Crosse and a lot of other departments. It's all about opportunity. And what was there? Opportunity for some minor curricular reform, but to go ahead and to improve what? Recruitment and advising. And then you can capitalize on that administrative support in order to go ahead and get those strategic investments to be made. And then finally, as a department chair maybe coming in, I can serve as a resource for the department because of some of the experience that I've had. And so that's really what I saw as opportunity. And of course, since this is AAPT, maybe let's focus a little bit on the teaching aspect of it. To me, we were engaging students, and that was the most important thing. How can we keep engaging students throughout the curriculum? You know, it's really good. Outside of class, we have the physics club and the astronomy club, great. In the upper division, we have that undergraduate research. What about that introductory course? You know, the way we were teaching that introductory course was a standard lecture, a bunch of separate labs, completely disconnected. How can we go ahead and do that? Well, to go ahead and we evolved from that type of format into an integrated lecture lab format. And so what's some of the changes that we made? The same type of things that, you know, other people have been saying. You know, put the most experienced faculty in there. We went with the scale-up model to integrate the lectures and labs. So you're talking about a 40 or 50 student kind of class. Embracing different pedagogical models. You know, we weren't interested in showing whether tutorials were better than PhET. You know, I don't care about that. That's not my problem. You know, I just want to go ahead and I encourage the faculty to go ahead and use what you felt comfortable with the key goal in mind of engaging those students. How can I engage those students, get them involved, and get them interested in it? And then to go ahead and keep using that throughout the curriculum. And so that's really the goal that we had. And the one thing I felt as a chair was to go ahead and, in a way, try to demonstrate it. And so these are some of the numbers that I've been able, that I had when I was going through it. So what we did is a separate lecture lab, separate instructors. We did it for both the algebra base and the calculus base. This is the force concept inventory that we were doing in the introductory mechanics class. And you can see, yeah, 0.34, which is just barely above what you'd expect from the national average in terms of, you know, doing a traditional lecture. So, I mean, that's nothing surprising. And 0.4, which is slightly higher than that for that, but it's still nothing to be, you know, touting as spectacular gains. We went ahead and made some minor revisions. We had some budget cuts during that time, and so what we did is we expanded the labs from 20 students to 40 students, but we were trying to go ahead and, while doing that, to put more interaction in there, and sure enough, it went up slightly, and then we were able to go ahead and integrate them all together and really go ahead and have them be one cohesive piece. And sure enough, it increased even further. And that's comparable to what, you know, Bruce Malmquist is in our department. He's a physics education expert. And so, you know, he's been doing it that way as well for the last 2 years. And sure enough, I mean, even though our methods are slightly different, you can see the learning gains are comparable. And again, it's all about engaging those students. For the electricity and magnetism portion, it was about 0.4. Again, there's a lot more room for improvement there, but still, these are the types of things that we can go ahead and do to keep improving on it and use that as assessment. Again, assessment is not meant to be punitive. It's to show where are ways that we can go ahead and improve our the student understanding, okay? And so this last year, the provost wanted to go ahead and meet with all of the academic departments. And so I said, oh, that's nice. And so, of course, I didn't respond. And then eventually the dean calls me and says, well, you know, the provost would really like to meet with you. I said, yeah, I know. And so I waited until basically the last week that she was going on the tours, and then we invited her. And at this point, I guess I need to build this up. So I've been chair for about 6 years. During this time, our goods and service budget was cut from $13,000 to about $6,000. Okay, so this is to operate the phones, the Xerox, new equipment. Okay, you know, so because we're such a big expense, okay, they have to cut that down. We went down to as low as 4.36 FTEF in the department. And so this was really now a challenge in terms of covering courses and stuff. It got to the point where certain gen ed courses we just didn't teach them. And so you know, the goal was to kind of convey this to the administration of why it's so important to invest. And so I made the comparison, since I knew lacrosse so well, I made the comparison to lacrosse. And the next two slides were the slides that I showed her. The first is okay, so the blue there, these bars, is Central Washington University. The yellow bars were University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, back at the time when they went ahead and brought in an external chair. And so the key was to say, here is a thriving program, okay? And it's in the state of Wisconsin, and I don't know if you know Wisconsin politics, but higher education is not valued significantly high in Wisconsin, okay? But first response, well, Wisconsin values higher education. I said, have you looked at the papers? Okay, so you can see that this is what, again, to try to make that comparison with a thriving program, to use them as that case study and how we're mimicking them and how we're doing with respect to that. This is the type of thing that we have, and so good. You know, the number of majors are clearly going up. Not only that, for us, it's even an underestimate because we don't count our majors. This is for winter quarter numbers. We don't count our majors until the spring quarter. And not only that, but the dual degree students, our university doesn't know how to attract them. You know, once they're in the system, that's it. They go away, and I don't understand why. Nobody knows. So these are the things that I tell them, you know, and I can point to the list, and here are the students that are missing from this list. And so then, of course, once they have the number of majors, here are the number of graduates. And so again, you can see the trend, and we're doing quite well with that. We graduated 14 this last year. Of the 14, 5 were the Bachelor of Arts. Now, yeah, Bachelor of Arts is a small number, 5. But that's a pretty good number, 2 of which are physics education. The other 3 were dual majors. 2 of them in chemistry, 1 of which was a Barry Goldwater Scholarship winner. So of course I'd say, well, if we eliminate the BA, then that means we eliminate opportunities for students like our Barry Goldwater Scholarship winners. Is this really what we want? Okay, so I mean, those are the types of things that are there. Next year, it looks like that we'll have 20 or so graduates, plus or minus. So, I mean, these are the types of things that administrators pay attention to. Data trends and stuff like that is very hard for them, but numbers do help. And so these are the things that I think that, you know, if we can go ahead and evolve as a community and engage the students and grow some of our programs, and there's a number of examples around this meeting that show that, this is a way that we can go ahead and capitalize on that and get investments in our programs. So of course, what's been done, and again, this is all done during a disinvestment, basically, in the physics department. And so really, it's not always about the money. We can do things, even if we don't have those resources. There are things that we can do to capitalize on the expertise and the strengths that we have in our own department. And as a chair, the 2 big things that I felt, was to really capitalize, find out what everyone's strengths were, and then put them in those roles. How to capitalize on them to get the most bang for the buck, and to really streamline their efficiency, and also to make them really happy. Because boy, there's nothing better than for a faculty member to look back and say, wow, look at all the accomplishments I've been able to do. And this now just feeds into it, and now you have people who are now committed and devoted to this program. And the next thing is always being prepared to back up those statements with and requests for data within a moment's notice. That was one thing that I just hammered down, is trying to make sure that data was always updated, it was always ready to go, and I'd be always one of the first in to show, hey, we have our act together, this is what we're doing. And so in conclusion, there's a couple of things that I'd just like to maybe propose to the physics community as a whole. One is to continue our evolution. I think it's very important. No one else will look out for us. That's why we have to look out for ourselves. And to do that, I believe that we need to continue our evolution. You know, physics has been the leaders in terms of physics education. We've been leaders in terms of incorporating undergraduates into the curriculum. I think we need to keep doing that and just moving forward and always reassessing, reevaluating what it is that we're doing. The next thing is, and I know this is not a popular one, is to consider the possibility for an accreditation in physics. I have lost out time and time again, over and over, to the accountants who say, in order to do this, I have to have it because of accreditation. The chemists, and the chemists are the worst because they are just such regimented people. Okay, I only do physical chemistry. Okay, right? I mean, that's what I hear all the time. Well, we have to hire an organic chemist. Heaven forbid that somebody else teach organic chemistry in our department. Okay, right? So, I mean, but sure enough, who gets the resources? Damn chemists. And there's nothing that makes me angry. Okay? And then the engineers as well, right? So all of these things there. Until we go ahead and get that, though, spin up report, spin up report, spin up report. If there's anything else that you can take from this presentation, it's the importance of that spin up report. And then finally, I really think that in order to improve the community's ability to advocate, More of us need to get out of the lab, more of us need to get out of the classroom and get into the roles of leadership, whether within the administration, whether it be outside. And I want to give you one example of this. So this last year I served as chair of the department chairs organization. And so one of my faculty members, in fact, I'll call him out since he's here, Mike Brownstein, okay? All right, for 5.5 years, this guy, at the beginning of every department meeting, which is why in the end we only met once a quarter, okay? We went ahead and he would say, what is the university doing to go ahead and recruit calculus-ready students? I look back at the previous program review. Even before I got there, the same question was there. Okay, and I can keep going back to the department history logs and see that there. Okay? And finally it got to the point where I would just put it in the agenda. You know, Mike Brownstein said, wait, what is the university doing to go ahead and recruit calculus-ready students? And I'd have my canned response, and I'd be always feeling bad. You know, I wish we could say more because, you know, we're doing this, this, and this, but I don't feel it's enough. And of course, you know, I'd be conveying that, everyone would be, yes, 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 don't worry about it. And finally, I'm sitting at the, the table of the big wigs, and we're talking about tuition waivers. And I said to myself, wait a minute, why are we using this? So I went back to my office, I typed up the policy, I sent them the policy in. The president sees me a couple days later and said, oh, I hear about this new tuition waiver policy that you proposed. Oh, it sounds really good. I can't wait to see it. I said, well, you better see it and approve it soon because I'm already starting to make offers. So it's kind of important that we get on the same page here. So sure enough, it went ahead and it was approved. But I mean, I would not have known that had I not had a seat at the table. And that's why I think, I did not get into to physics, so I could go ahead and, chum around and talk to people and stuff like that. I was hoping really to be left alone in the lab, and of course you can see how well that has all worked. Okay, so I mean, but I think it is important if we go ahead and get involved in that way. Some acknowledgments. I would like to go ahead and thank AAPT, the 2013 Awards Committee, and certainly John Wiley and Sons. When I was informed of the award, I did say that I nearly fell out of my chair when I heard that. It was one of those days where it was like 10 reports that were being requested, and I was like, but sure enough, it was a really nice surprise of that. I'd certainly like to thank my colleagues because any accomplishments that really have been done at Central Washington University have been done as a group. And certainly Mike Brownstein, Bruce Palmquist, Andy Piacek, and Sharon Rozelle all deserve credit in those accomplishments. And of course, my former colleagues at both La Crosse and West Georgia. The one nice thing is being at departments that are functional. It's really nice to be able to talk to colleagues and say hello to them in the hallway. And I mean, you really learn to appreciate that when you look at some of the other departments in the college. And of course, the one group I'd really like to thank, I'd like to thank all those administrators who provided me with case study after case study, example of what not to do and how not to manage a program, okay? And then with that, the last thing is that if you're not familiar with the spin-up report, I just wanted to point that out there. You can be accessed through a couple of ways. AIP data is there, and there's some other sessions that are talking about the growth of programs and the physics curriculum that may be of interest. And so with that, thank you.